Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport, and I'm now going to be talking about Formula E. So if you don't like the electric single-seater series, sorry, just going to put up with it. I really enjoy Formula E. It's actually one of my favourite series to watch these days because every race tends to be exciting. There's always stuff happening. I absolutely love it. I'd be happy for it to be the future of motorsport. And it was back in London. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend, but I did watch it on TV and I have a few things to say about it, although sadly it looks like the championship is pretty much settled. Unlike last year where we went into the last round with almost the entire field still capable of winning the championship, after London, with only 2 races left in Seoul, we have Vandoorne with a massive lead, Mitch Evans, Mortara clinging on desperately. Jean-Eric Vergne can mathematically win the title, but it's very unlikely. In fact, I think he has to, if he gets both wins, both poles, and fastest lap in both races, and Vandoorne doesn't score any points, Jean-Eric Vergne will be champion. If he doesn't get pole in the first race, he can't be champion. He's that far behind. So it does look like Stoffel Vandoorne is continuing Mercedes' success in Formula E and will be champion. There was a lot of great action from London. I really enjoyed both races. Really happy for Jake Dennis, who had a fantastic weekend. He's a driver who last year I underestimated by far, more than any driver I probably have ever. Didn't think anything of him, and he had a great season last year. It's not been as good this year, but this race, this is enough for me that someone should hire Jake Dennis because he drove really well in both races and got a great result. The first race, I think maybe I'd call it the worst of 2 races, or the weaker race. It was still pretty good. Sam Bird and Mortara tangled at the start. Sam Bird retired, continuing his awful season, but Mortara had massive damage on a really bad weekend for him. Jean-Eric Vergne, he also got involved in contact, I think, with Sebastian Buemi, and he also retired. So that was 2 of your championship contenders not scoring any points in the first race. The race itself, with Jake Dennis holding off Stoffel Vandoorne, it was pretty close and there was some good battling behind. Evans was working his way through the field. Nick Cassidy had a great race as well, almost caught De Vries at the end. Oliver Askew finished 5th as well for Andretti, his best result. It looked like Sergio Sette Camara was going to score Dragon's first points of the year, but I think he ran out of energy and dropped back, as did Maximilian Günther, who's another good driver who's not having a good year. So those 2 missed out, unfortunately, but they did put in a good performance. It's just a shame we couldn't get to the end. But the end result of the first race was Vandoorne had increased his lead again. It was getting, the gap between him and Evans was getting bigger and bigger, and Evans really needed to do something to close it down a little bit. Mortara and Vergne, no points scored. It was starting to look unlikely at this point. So, race 2, I'm just going to flip the page of my notebook. If you're wondering why I'm looking down to the right, so I'm going to put it up here. So, another driver having a bad year. Oliver Roland, a really good driver who, again, I probably underestimate every year. He's not had a good couple of seasons. He was out at the start of this one, as well as Jean-Eric Vergne. I think Roland got squeezed, possibly by his teammate, and ended up crashing into the side of Jean-Eric Vergne. Vergne retired again. That's 4 races in a row. Jean-Eric Vergne, before New York, had been in the points at every race and was driving very consistently. It looked like he actually had the momentum to really start a charge towards the title, and it would be his 3rd, so it wouldn't even be surprising. It has not worked out for him. It honestly can't get much worse for Jean-Eric Vergne, other than his Formula 1 career, I guess. This has been a really terrible end to the year. 4 races, no points, and he's pretty much out of the title fight. Dan Tickton was also out somewhere. Then we lost Giovinazzi, who was running near the front for really the first time this year. He got a drive-through penalty and dropped down towards the back somewhere. I think eventually he retired as well. He's a driver who, at the start of the year, I thought was going to do big things in Formula E, because in Formula 1, driving for, let's be honest, a backmarker team, Giovinazzi was never going to do great things. But you occasionally saw flashes of something good, especially after they announced that he was gone. Like the last few races of 2022 in Formula 1, and 2021, sorry, he did put in some good performances. So I thought the chaotic nature of Formula E might help him. It has not, and Dragon have scored, well, they have scored points in this race, but Giovinazzi is last in the championship with no points. And that's a great shame. Evans was working his way up through the field with Vandoorne behind him. He did manage to get up into 4th, and it looked like Mitch Evans was going to put in a great performance and keep Stoffel Vandoorne honest, at least, going into the last round. Last few minutes of the race, I don't know what happened. It just looked like his car stopped. And with it, the hopes of a championship fight in the last round were pretty much dealt the killer blow. So, in race 2, Stoffel Vandoorne managed to finish 4th, and none of his title rivals scored points, because Mortara had a terrible race as well. Down at the back of the field, he spun, I think he finished 13th or 14th. Not very high, no points. So with Verne and Mortara not scoring any points in London, and Mitch Evans only getting a 6th in the first race, while Stoffel Vandoorne finished 2nd and 4th, and he already had a championship lead going in, he now has a massive 44-point lead. It was nice seeing Lucas Di Grassi take his first win of the year and his first win for Venturi. I believe that's his 13th race win in Formula E, which ties him for the most with Sebastian Buemi. And honestly, Di Grassi looks more likely to score wins than Buemi ever does. I mean, I think he had a good second race, Buemi, and he finished 6th, but he doesn't score points regularly anymore. Nissan just don't seem to be capable of running at the front. Jake Dennis was 2nd, so that capped off an amazing weekend for him, with Nick De Vries 3rd. Honestly, it was a shame that Mitch Evans didn't get to the end, because it still left the door open for something to happen in Seoul. But if Vandoorne wins, he's definitely a worthy champion. He's a fantastic driver, never really got his chance in Formula 1. So, Stoffel Vandoorne is almost champion, but hey, at least Sergio Sette Camara scored points in the second race. I'm very happy for Dragon to get something on the board. I think Antonio Giovinazzi is the only driver who hasn't scored points yet in 2022. And I think I'm right in saying for the first time, no drivers have been swapped out mid-season in Formula E. The 22 who started look like they're going to be the 22 who finish, unless anyone gets pulled in for South Korea, which is in a couple of weeks, so Formula E is almost over. And with Vandoorne basically guaranteed to be champion, although this is Formula E, so things could happen. So instead of asking who the champion's going to be, who do you think will be second? Do you think Mitch Evans can hold on, or do you think Mortara, or maybe even Jean-Eric Verne can grab second place? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, remember to subscribe, and have a good one.